Okay, so we're starting to work on our gunnels, and yesterday I spent some time planing and ripping full-length gunnels that came out of 20-foot stock. And what I did was I cut a few feet off the ends that I'll end up using for either a carrying yoke or a thwart for a canoe, and kept about 17 feet for the prospector canoe that I'm working on right now. And so, I'm fortunate that I can work with long lengths like that. Chances are, if you're a home builder, then you're not going to have access to that length of ash or cherry or whatever stock you're going to use for your gunnel. And you'll have to get smaller lengths and then scarf the joint to make the full length. So I'm just going to explain how to do that before we carry on. Okay, so basically what you're going to end up with is two shorter lengths. Okay, not this short, but you'll have, let's say, 8-foot or 10-foot lengths, and I guess the best size would be 8 feet, because then that'll give you 16. That would probably do for a 15-foot canoe. If your canoe or your boat's longer than 15 feet, then you're going to need longer stock to start with. And what we want to do is we want to create one continuous piece of wood for the gunnel out of the two. Okay, so for demonstration purposes, these are my two pieces, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a scarf joint, and what that is an angle that goes across, and then we glue up the two pieces. All right, so basic rule of thumb for scarf joints is that you want it to be 6 to 8 times the thickness of the material. All right, so my gunnel piece is 3/8. If your gunnels are going to be 1 inch, then your scarf needs to be 6 to 8 inches long across that. Give you the simple math. All right. For these, it needs to be at least 2 inches. Okay. So what I do is I take my tape measure, and I'm going to mark off 2 inches. I know the viewers are probably going to do the math and send me an email saying that it's more than 2 inches, but again, this is just for demonstration purposes for you. My gunnels are already full length. Okay, I think the actual measurement on 3/8 is like 2 1/4 inches. So then I've made my 2-inch mark, and I'm going to take my other piece. I'll make the 2-inch mark on that as well if I wanted. Okay, I'll do it so that you can see. Okay, then I'm going to take my bevel gauge. I'm going to put the bevel gauge up on my strip, and I'm going to change the angle so that it goes from one line to the other. I'm going to tighten the gauge. I'm going to mark the strip. And I'm going to take the gauge and move it over to the other strip. Okay, so now that, by doing that, it ensures that I have the same angle on both strips that will become the gunnel. So I'm then going to cut the length on both, and then I'll be able to match up the angle, and I'll use some thickened epoxy as glue, and I'll clamp that together. I'll make sure that I wipe it clean so that I don't have a lot of gunk epoxy on the edges, and then I'll let that sit until it dries, and then I'll have one full length. Okay, so cutting these, I've seen it done a number of different ways. I've seen it done with a jigsaw or a bandsaw. I've seen it just planed. Okay, just work your way through and plane it. And what I have is, and I've used this for strips, if you excuse me, I'll just go get it. I made up a jig quite a while ago, and this is specifically for making scarf joints. And all I did was I took a piece of 2x4, okay, 2x4 here, and then some other material. It looks like, in this case, I used maple, and I doubled up my thickness of material, just like that, the two pieces that I was going to cut, and I set them down inside. All right, so in this case, this is for doing strips. So let me just grab a couple strips here. I can show you. Should still work. And of course, these are going to be a little thick. Anyhow, they would fit. Oh, there we go. It's sliding in now. They would fit right in here. And for some reason, it must have got bumped. I haven't used this in a long time. As you can tell, it's probably looking very dirty. The strips would fit right inside here, and then I used my my pull saw, my Japanese pull saw, and it slides in the cut that I made. Okay, so then I can cut that, and I take the strips out, and I've got the same angle to reverse it and glue them together. Okay, instead of just doing a butt joint. Okay, it just gives that lap, you know, so it's a better joint, more glue surface to hold the strips together. I tend not to use it very much anymore, using mostly full-length strips, but building a jig like this to do your gunnels would probably save a little bit of time trying to match up that angle when you're cutting it. Using the jigsaw, I've seen it done. If you're good with hand tools like that, then you might want to give that a try. If I was to use an electric saw, I'd probably personally go with the bandsaw. Okay, so anyway, that's creating the scarf joint to do your gunnels, and we'll continue and explain just how to set your gunnels up.